Can't touch this. No way. Herschel Walker, they're not stopping him. Yes, they're trying. They're getting very, very desperate. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Everybody's got to get out and do their thing. But Herschel Walker, he almost has this locked up, even though they're desperately trying. Who came forward this week? That national joke of a lawyer, Gloria Allred, with yet another person claiming victimhood, who is no victim. In fact, I don't think this person, who did not have the nerve to show her face, actually, I don't think she's ever even met Herschel Walker. Listen.
Herschel Walker says he is against women having abortions, but he pressured me to have one. I am coming forward now because I saw Herschel deny the allegations by another woman who claimed that he had paid for her abortion.
I'm sorry, but this voice, and I've listened to it a couple of times, this is not the voice of a football fan. And Herschel had a lot of fans. This is not one of them. No way. Herschel denies it, and I believe him.
Well, I'm going to just say right now, guys, I'm done with this foolishness. I've already told people this is a lie, and I'm not going to entertain and continue to carry a lie alone. And I also want to let you know I didn't kill JFK either. And right now they sent one out after he got crushed at that debate. Now the Democrats are doing, say whatever they can to win this fight, to win this seat. But I want them to know they don't know Herschel Walker. They don't know that I'm from Wrightsville, Georgia, and I'm going to win this seat.
Yes, he is. I do believe. And right now, President Biden, Chuck Schumer, all of them huddled, talking about Herschel Walker, very worried, and they're convinced themselves that he's going to do it. He says it's hard to believe that they will vote for Herschel Walker. No, it's not. We like what he stands for, and we see what you're doing. And again, this cheap trick with Gloria Allred, who's always representing people who claim victimhood but just made bad decisions. I mean, she represented those, remember when all those people came out and said things about Tiger Woods? It was never alleged that he forced himself on them. These people hooked up with him. I'm not sure about Maureen Decker, what her role was, but how about Amber Fry? She was the girlfriend of Scott Peterson, who killed, they say, Lacey Peterson. I don't know why she needed Gloria Allred, but there she was together. She is Madam Frivolous lawsuit. Oh, this one. Fired by an employer for being too hot, so she alleged. When it's silly, there is Gloria Allred. Now, look, all this attention on Herschel, quite frankly, we don't believe the allegations, and makes kind of a lot of us like him more. And what about his opponent? He escapes scrutiny from the mainstream media, but not us. This Raphael Warnock guy, he's right up there with Jeremiah Wright when it comes to ministers. Take a look.
No matter what happens next month, more than a third of the nation that would go along with this is reason to be afraid. America needs to repent for its worship of whiteness.
Worship of whiteness. Okay. And then there's this. Some of it might have a point, but the lead is all wrong.
America, nobody can serve God and the military. You can't serve God and money. You cannot serve God and mammon at the same time. America, choose ye this day whom you will serve.
He's a little carried away with himself. You can't serve God in the military. Well, tell that to these soldiers. Tell that to the active duty believers around the world right now defending America. You can believe and serve God and serve in the military. It's a big country. 300 million people live here. And it's very easy, I believe, to come up with somebody to make a crazy allegation, especially just a couple of days before an election or when somebody really important is about to get confirmed on the Supreme Court. I always go back to Christine Blasey Ford. Remember that stunt they pulled on all of us? right? We had to stop and watch those hearings. I think they went on for a week. Wall-to-wall coverage. This person didn't know the house, didn't know the place, didn't know the time, didn't know anything, had no evidence, but made an allegation against a man whose whole life was perfect up until that moment. No. And all the headlines, everybody believed her from the left, actually. They wanted to believe her. They wanted to stop Kavanaugh at all costs. It's amazing to me she had no evidence. And Tara Reid, who made a very credible allegation against Joe Biden, that when she was working for him back in the early 1990s, that she was sexually assaulted by then Senator Biden. And she actually worked for him. There's evidence. She was there. It's documented. Here's part of what she had to say, mostly ignored by the mainstream media, but this is evidence.
He had his hands underneath my clothes, and it happened all at once. I wanted to say stop, and I thought it. I don't know if I said it, but sometimes, you know, when I've had a couple bad dreams or a few bad dreams about it, I wake up yelling that. I wake up yelling stop.
Is it conclusive evidence? No, but this is evidence, and it should have been investigated. And again, she was there. She established herself as an employee of Joe Biden. Documentation. Her mother called into Larry King Live. We have tape of that. And Joe Biden was asked about this in one interview by a friendly interviewer, and they made sure they also talked about a whole heck of a lot of other topics. We have to ask you about this, 2 questions, and then they moved on to world affairs, your vice presidential running mate, all that stuff. They took care of him. They coddled him. They helped him in the cover-up. And they continued to do that for him and for his buddy Fetterman. Now, Fetterman, we all know, had a disastrous night the other night. I mean, it doesn't get worse. It really doesn't. But, you know, I thought everybody knew this. Everybody saw it. Well, not true. And the media are trying to cover it up. Parts of the media are. The newspapers in Pennsylvania didn't make any mention of his obvious ailments. They just blew it off. And even one newspaper in Philadelphia said he won. The Philadelphia Inquirer said he won the debate. Well, we know that's not true. Fetterman, the cover-up is not working, all right? We can all see the issues, but they tried to cover it up. They've succeeded partially. With Joe Biden, they succeeded in totality. Remember, they kept him in the basement. Everybody went along with it. And during that big debate, the 2 debates actually on stage, where we finally thought we'd get some answers, what did the moderators do? They protected him. They protected and coddled Joe Biden.
And by the way,
well, wait, he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
he got $3.5 million.
That is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
Now, it's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
My son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
And his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking up money every
Trump,
place
thank
he goes.
you. We do need to move on.
Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All right, let's move on. I'm going to move on. Mr. President, I have to move on to the next question.
They say the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia?
We all saw this, right? Every time he got some momentum and he was asking him about personal corruption issues, they stopped it. They deflected for Joe Biden. Now, yesterday or earlier this week in that Fetterman debate, I got to hand it to the moderators. Yes, there was a lot of things they didn't like. I didn't like. They weren't respectful of Dr. Oz, but they did not relent when it came to Fetterman. They treated him like any other candidate with follow-ups.
You have not released your detailed medical records surrounding your stroke. Mr. Fetterman, will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency? You have 60 seconds.
No. To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate.
Follow up, I didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
You have made two conflicting statements regarding fracking. In a 2018 interview, you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all. I never have." But earlier this month, you told an interviewer, quote, "I support fracking. I support the energy independence that we should have here in the United States." So, Mr. Fetterman, please explain your changing position. 60 seconds.
I've always supported fracking.
I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all." So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking.
Joe Biden could have been exposed the same way, but they chose to protect him. And now, look what we have. Anyway, things are about to turn, and I think it's going to be magnificent. Everybody has to get out and vote. And oh, by the way, keep your eye on the so-called feud between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. They're trying to create a big wedge between these two guys. It is a complex relationship, but more when we come back.